And that leads us into spermatogenesis. And there's only a few slides left. I'm just going to get into it. Spermatogenesis is the development of the sperm, where we started with a primordial follicle. For females, we start with a spermatogonia. For men, it's just a primordial germ cell for guys. Okay, your primordial follicle is called primordial follicle, ours is called a spermatogonia. And honestly, and in some textbooks, you won't see primordial follicle, you'll see oogonia. This is the first time I've seen it changed in regards to terminology for that one. The spermatogonia undergo division and become a primary spermatocyte. Primary spermatocyte undergoes meiosis. What's this funded by? You know it, testosterone. All of this is happening inside the seminiferous tubules. Those interstitial cells are secreting testosterone, androgens. Androgens are causing sperm to develop inside the tube. It goes from a primary spermatocyte to a secondary spermatocyte, where it starts to finish and go through those phases of meiosis. Secondary spermatocyte ends meiosis 1. As that secondary spermatocyte undergoes further maturation and development, it becomes a spermatid. Where you started with one individual spermatogonia, you end up with 4 haploid sperm cells, or spermatids. These spermatids enter into the lumen of the seminiferous tubule. As they are propelled towards the epididymis, they undergo their final step. See, spermatogenesis is a hell of a lot easier. What is the final step of spermatogenesis? The final step of spermatogenesis is this right here. And this is, for all intents and purposes, occurring mostly within the epididymis. From the primary to the secondary to the spermatid is all within the seminiferous tubule. Once we become a spermatid, we are then pumped. It's just like peristalsis, okay, with the rhythmic contraction of the tube towards the epididymis. Here is where that final step occurs. There is some excess cytoplasm that exists, and I'll show you a picture here in a second. That excess cytoplasm is removed. We put a cap on them, filled with digestive enzymes. That's the acrosome cap. It is that digestive filled cap that's going to penetrate through the outer part of the mature egg. We have a midpiece. It's the motor. Ton of mitochondria within it. This midpiece helps to fund the action of the tail, of the flagellum. And that's involved with propulsion. And let me go to a picture here. Okay, here's my spermatogonia, primary spermatocyte, secondary spermatocyte, and here's my spermatid right here. There's all that excess cytoplasm right there. That's not good. That produces a lot of drag, which is going to slow down the sperm, and we don't want that to happen. The female reproductive tract is a dangerous place, man. I'm a foreign invader for one. Okay, so strike 1. It's highly acidic, strike 2. And if I'm slow and not an effective swimmer, I'm going to be caught and I'm going to be killed. Don't want that. So there in that epididymis is where I'm going to have that final step. What's that final step? Removal of that excess cytoplasm You can see some slight elongation of the tail. Acrosome cap is fully there and filled with digestive enzymes. I'm ready to rock and roll. And there it's stored until it's ready to be released and do its thing, which is find the egg and fertilize it. So when it comes into development, I mean, good God almighty, it is a heck of a lot different between a male and a female. For males, we start with one individual spermatogonia and we end up with 4 sperm cells. With females, a bunch kickstart in development, but you only end up with 1. For males, the cells develop in utero. But their proliferation, their growth does not happen until puberty, when testosterone levels start to rise high enough inside of a boy to get those things to start developing. For females, again, you made over 1 million of these suckers in utero, and then you just paused. And then by the time you hit puberty, there's about 400,000 left, and these are the ones that are going to undergo the development and ultimate release. For males, like I said, all we need is testosterone. And by about 40, somewhere in the 40s, let's just say 45 for grins and giggles, that's where sperm production can start to drop off because of a natural decline in testosterone that happens in your 40s. Sorry to burst your bubble, boys, if there's any left in the class. Okay. Women, you have a finite number. And by about age 50, you hit menopause and you stop because you don't have any eggs developing. So there's no estrogen release. Androgens increase. And that's menopause. I say 50, but it can happen as early as 45 if you're lucky. And by lucky, I'm being facetious. So when it comes to, one of them probably are going to get asked, right? Egg development or sperm development. What's the one that I'm probably going to ask? Egg development, right? More moving parts, more things. For a guy, it's very straightforward. Testosterone production, wha-bam. Okay, FSH rises, LH rises, and that causes androgens to develop, which increases the ability to bind androgens to the sperm to cause sperm development. And we go from 1 to 2 to spermatid to mature sperm. Very easy, very straightforward. Not much goes into it. Okay. Like I said, guys, always easy in that regard.